All right. The last model that we're going to talk about, the Cisco 3-layer model. All right. But it's not really the last one. It is, but it isn't. You'll see in a second. All right. The Cisco 3-layer model, this nothing new. For some of you, it may be new. All right. But what Cisco does, it takes their devices, all right, and they draw lines where you put them on your network. Say, okay, this is going to be our core devices up here. I don't know why they're using switches. Okay, whatever. All right, they could be switches, they could be routers. These are your core devices that are actually passing information to somewhere else, to another building, another campus, another branch office, whatever the case may be. But they're connected to the wide area network. So these guys, all right, should have the capacity, the capability of passing information quickly. You don't want to bog these down with huge routing tables, with creating VLANs or inter VLANs or anything like that with these particular layer 3 switches or routers, if there will be routers. So the whole point of the core layer is to pass information on quickly. The distribution layer, though, they want there, okay, well, there you can start doing your security, VLANs, inter VLANs, ISA policies or IP LSA policies, all these different things that you can do here, route maps, all that stuff, right? That's okay. And then you have your layer 2 switches, the desktop layer down here, where they consider it to be the workhorse. Yeah, these guys, they know, they're the ones that hold everybody in the LAN. They know about each individual LAN. They're the ones that are doing maybe access lists right on the switches. So you have switch port security, you're dealing with spanning tree. All that stuff is going on down here. But you want to leave the core layer alone. Now, what you're going to see in the next presentation, the next lecture, is the new model that comes from this one. This is why I wanted to show you this one, which is called the collapsed architecture, the Cisco collapsed architecture. Okay, now take a look at this and how this is divided up. Okay, core, distribution, access. Leave it alone. Let things go quickly. Okay, we can start putting things in, such as a little bit of security, maybe VLANs, inter VLANs going on there. And then workhorse. These are the guys of the workhorse for the desktop layer, okay? So keep that in mind and how it looks, how it looked in a design format, right? What Cisco decided to do from the get-go. In the next one, we're going to see the Cisco collapsed architecture. I'll see you there. All right, the Cisco collapsed architecture. Told you. See what they did? You see what they did? They took the core, put it by itself, and then the distribution and access layer, now they're like working together as one. That's it. Now, the core still, you can see here that they're using, obviously these are internet routers. These are layer 3 switches or ATM routers. I mean, I don't know what they're using here. All right, because it looks like they're layer 3 switches because they have these 3 cables are running a loop around it. It could be an ether channel that they're running through there. That's not really our business. What we need to understand is that, hey, we have our main hardcore devices right here at the core layer that's going to pass information around. I can tell you this right now. You see all this amount of redundancy? Yeah, that redundancy, it's not going to happen in the real world because they're not going to pay for it. All right, but for your examination, know that this is the core layer for the collapsed architecture, your hardcore routers. Then you have, I guess, same type of routers, but now they're in the distribution layer. Maybe they're doing their inter VLAN connectivity, right? Or their layer 3 switches. They're doing their inter VLANs. They're doing the access list. Here's your desktop layer working alongside the distribution layer with a wireless. Now, what I find funny is, couldn't they just explain it with the same type of picture? Just make it separate. They had to throw in a whole bunch of different devices. Okay. So Now the layer 2, or I'm sorry, the desktop layer and distribution layer are working together as one. We're mixing in everything there. And your core layer is still untouched. It is still saying, hey, I need to pass information quickly. My routing table needs to be small. I need to be worried about each individual LAN that happens at the desktop layer. Send me a summary route. This is what I need to know about. So this is your collapsed architecture. Fancy name for the Cisco 2-layer model instead of 3. That's all it is. That's all it is. Okay? But again, you'll have this as for your notes. No big deal. There's not really much they can ask you on that. Okay? So is a model nonetheless. We should try and follow it. I can tell you right now, a lot of people don't. But for your certification, hey, guidelines, guidelines, guidelines. I follow them to a T. I'll see you guys in the next. All right, welcome back, everyone, to a brief summary of this particular section. What did we talk about? The Cisco 3-layer model first, so you can either remember or just learn it right now, that Cisco designed this so we can create, when we do our devices, we do our network, we have our core, layer 3 switches or routers, whatever you're going to have up here, your beefy networking equipment, right? That's going to pass information quickly. Your distribution layer, they're the ones that you're going to start putting things on like security, and you're going to be doing inter-VLANs and things of that nature. And then you have your workhorse, which is your access layer that accesses the LAN, right? These routers will know each individual LAN, all right? These routers do not need to know that. Just, hey, just send me a summary route. That's about it. But now, as we talked about, we have the Cisco collapsed architecture. We went from a 3-layer model to a 2-layer model. That's it. Okay? So the core layer is still the core layer. Still the core layer. This equipment right here, whether it be a layer 3 switch or a router or whatever it is, okay, it needs to be with minimal configurations as possible, obviously being secured and having the right path to get to this destination. But you see a lot of redundancy. This looks like an ether channel, unless you're doing virtual routing over here. Okay, so this needs to pass information very quickly, fiber optics, things of that nature. Your distribution and access layer, those are the ones that have come together as one. So now we're mixing in all the inter-VLANs, all the span tree, all the switch port security, all the access list, all these different things, all the VLANs, inter-VLANs, all this is now part of these 2 layers. So they're working together. So now we have a core layer, and now we have a distribution access layer. So it went from a 3-layer model to a 2-layer model. That's what the Cisco collapse architecture is. And that's what we've been talking about. No biggie. Now you know. See you in the next one.